This is the highest ranking and most luxuriously furnished Ming Dynasty prince's tomb ever excavated in China, yielding Lampai Bakonghong artifacts in just Bamuimot square meters. With An's total value exceeding billions, the number of gold and jade belts found here actually surpasses those found in imperial burials. Alongside Namtram exotic gems, these gems are set in gold, including An National Treasure Gold, ingot, weighing 5 grams, featuring an inscription that directly links the find to Zheng He's voyages. Are you curious about the identity of the tomb's owner and the treasures within? Stay tuned as we dive into this historical treasure hunt. On January Hemoiba, Henginmot as villagers in Zhongshan, Hubei were setting off firecrackers to celebrate the Lunar New Year, something unusual happened. Amidst the holiday noise, An massive tremor shook the village at midnight, causing dogs to bark and terrified residents to lock their doors tight. Near the village is An's small hill, where strangers had been spotted since the 1990s, leaving behind various pits and signs of illicit activity. This site is identified in local records as the tomb of Prince Liang Zhuang, providing clear locations and historical figures for anyone to find. Because the records acted like public treasure map, it unfortunately attracted many amateur treasure hunters seeking to conduct their own unauthorized excavation. Prince Liang Zhuang, born Zhu Zhanji, was the 9th son of Emperor Renzong and the grandson of the powerful Emperor Yongle. Daplu Hato seized the throne. In Mutnimbuntam Muaibon, at the age of Muaibon, he was titled Prince of Liang, but he passed away suddenly from illness at age of Muay and was buried here. Despite previous attempts to enter the tomb, these modern thieves used the sound of firecrackers to mask an tactical demolition of the structure. Using uncalculated charge buried deep underground, they employed an technique known as an muffled blast to hide their destructive work. Villagers reported the incident, and when authorities arrived, they found the tomb breached, prompting experts to begin an immediate rescue excavation. To ensure the safety of the site, armed police were stationed nearby while researchers conducted their initial surveys of the underground structure. The tomb consists of an front chamber of Bunmoy square meters and an rear chamber of Bamoymo square meters, featuring an self-supporting architectural design. While the size seemed modest for an appearance, experts were initially skeptical about finding anything of high value inside this specific site. This skepticism stemmed from Ming Dynasty regulations that discouraged lavish burials for princes, as seen in previous excavations of similar tombs. There was any concern that the labor of an large-scale excavation might not be worth it if the tomb lacked significant cultural artifacts. However, since the tomb was already damaged, experts proceeded with the rescue mission and quickly located the main entrance passage. To keep the area dry, a thick layer of lime had been used in the past, and removing it revealed an surprising structural anomaly. One side of the wall appeared perfectly level at the top, while the outer wall seemed to curve downward in an unusual fashion. While the mystery of the wall remained, they found 2 wooden epitaphs of different sizes embedded within the brickwork of the entrance. This was an unique burial style. The larger tablet belonged to Prince Liang, while the smaller one detailed the life of his consort, Princess Wei. The prince's tablet confirmed his historical records, but the princess's epitaph told an deeply moving story of devotion and loss between the couple. Upon the prince's sudden death, the princess wished to follow him in burial, but the emperor intervened, ordering her to raise their 2 young daughters. Following the prince's passing, Princess Wei lived in grief until her daughters were grown, eventually passing away 10 years later to join her husband. Her final wish was granted as they were buried together, but as excavation continued, the team encountered a massive amount of water at the entrance. Since the tomb was high on an hill, it was in groundwater, leaving experts puzzled as to where the constant flooding was coming from. They had to pump the water out continuously as they dug, eventually discovering that the water was actually gushing from inside the chambers. It took a full day and night of pumping to dry the tomb, revealing that it lacked drainage and had been constructed with surprisingly coarse materials. The full layout finally emerged, showing an entrance ramp that actually ran counter to the natural slope of the surrounding hillside. After removing the meter-thick ceiling wall, experts used an photon emitter to peek inside and saw something truly baffling through the cracks. They noticed that one section of the chamber appeared to be completely empty, which was not what they expected to find. The tomb door itself was coated in bright red cinnabar, which gave it an eerie, vivid appearance even after centuries. Further down the corridor, they spotted a large vat next to more red materials, leaving the team confused about what exactly they were looking at. Normally, these stone doors would be locked from the inside, but only one door was visible next to the back, suggesting the tomb might have been looted. Upon entering, the team was crushed to find a modern towel near the vault, an sure sign that thieves had recently been inside. The front chamber was entirely filled with grey silt and mud, hiding everything and making the experts feel like the mission was on failure. However, while searching through the mud, they felt a piece of goldware, and their spirits immediately lifted as they realized the treasure was still there. Though the front room was meant for ritual, they found gold basins and jars in the rear chamber that the thieves had somehow missed. The Ba Mui Mot, square, meter rear chamber, featured 3 niches and 2 coffin platforms located along the walls, holding incredible historical wealth. In addition to the platforms, there were 2 lampstands, one of which held an unbroken ceramic jar, identical to the one found outside. Most of the treasures were found on the coffin platforms. The center belonged to the prince, while the western one was for the princess. While the princess's platform held only some gold coins, the prince's platform was a breathtaking sea of gold that shimmered despite the centuries. Once the surface mud was cleared, a dazzling array of jewelry and gold items emerged, looking even more spectacular against the dark earth. The sheer volume of gold artifacts caused quite a stir among the staff. La Pluhato realized they had discovered a legitimate ancient treasury. These gold items, including basins and jars, are extremely rare and have only ever been found in the Dingling tomb before this discovery. One gold jar featured an inscription proving it was a royal gift from the emperor to Prince Liang, adding to its immense historical value. 2 gold ingots with inscriptions were also found, one of which sent shockwaves through the archaeological community because of what it said. This Mofei Chenbabe gram ingot was inscribed as being purchased from the Western Oceans in the 17th year of the Yongle reign. The timing coincides perfectly with Zheng He's 5th voyage, providing a rare physical link between the tomb and that legendary maritime expedition. The dates and locations mentioned on the gold create an undeniable connection to Zheng He's fleet and their activities abroad. It suggests the gold was purchased during the voyage, showing that the Ming Dynasty engaged in fair trade rather than using force to acquire wealth. On the coffin platform, they also found over 9 triam gemstones, representing 4 of the world's 5 major precious stones, excluding only diamonds. Research confirmed that these rubies, sapphires, and emeralds were also brought back to China through Zheng He's extensive maritime trade routes. The variety is stunning, including cats, eye gems, and other rare stones that were clearly sourced from outside of China's borders. Experts can tell these aren't domestic stones based on their unique color bands, crystal structures, and internal mineral inclusions. Each gemstone acts as a physical witness to a major historical event, filling in the gaps left by traditional written records of the era. Interestingly, some hat ornaments found were originally worn by Yuan Dynasty nobles, and later repurposed as decorative knobs for Ming vessels. Beyond the gold, the tomb held exquisite jade belts that were only allowed to be worn by the highest-ranking officials of the main court. These jade belts are masterpieces of craftsmanship, featuring white jade that remains pure and beautifully shaped even after hundreds of years. The belt buckles are remarkably modern in design, showing that high-status fashion from the Ming era isn't so different from today. However, the presence of older Jin and Yuan Dynasty artifacts in Anming tomb suggests these items were likely spoils of war. Since Emperor Yongle led several successful campaigns against the Mongols, these rare treasures were probably gifted to Prince Liang as rewards. Curiously, this tomb contained Muaba belts, one more than even the emperor's own tomb, a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. While the prince's platform was full, The princess was empty because the floating wooden boxes holding her treasures had drifted into the front room. Even the large ceramic vats had moved due to the flooding, ending up near the sealed entrance far from their original positions. Though the treasure survived, the prince's remains had completely decayed, and that modern Tao was just a tool left by the failed thieves. The Tao was used to block Hoard during the blast, but the explosion pushed it into the chamber where it floated to the door. As for the missing stone door, it turns out the princess had to break it open to fulfill her wish of being buried with her husband. She replaced it with a wooden door, which rotted away over Namtram years, explaining why only one stone door remained when experts arrived. In total, Lempai Bakangkong items of gold, jade, and porcelain were recovered, making this find second only to the Imperial Ming Dingling tomb in value. With over 5 Kong gold and jade pieces, and 5 Kong gems, the density of treasure in this small chamber is truly unparalleled in history. Averaging Motram artifacts per square meter, this site stands as a testament to the incredible wealth and maritime reach of the Ming Dynasty. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the ODV channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any new videos.